Hi everyone, welcome back to Rooted in Style. For those of you new to the channel, my name is Melanie. This is my Black Pagoda Lipstick Plant. Isn't she beautiful? She is by far one of my favorites. I just love the purple with the green. It's just so beautiful. There are not many plants like that. She was actually my very first online order. Very first. I bought this plant 3 years ago, and I think it cost me like $40 at the time, which was by far the most I'd ever spent on a plant. And I was so nervous. I just kept thinking, oh my gosh, I spent all this money on a plant. I haven't even seen one in person. What if it comes in and I don't like it? Or what if it's dead? Which was my biggest concern. It's like, what am I gonna do? I'm out of my money. Like, and I wanted that plant. But obviously it came, it was in great condition, and it's thriving. At the time when I bought him, he was not readily available. Nowadays, I have even seen him in the big box stores. So I've seen him at like Walmart, Lowe's. He's probably at Home Depot. So you can get a big basket of it for $20. And I've seen bigger baskets than what I have, but I'm so attached to my specific plant that I'm just sticking with him. Now, the reason why I actually wanted to make this video is because he's doing something very strange. So you can see all the new growth that's coming in, like so much new growth, but he's also flowering. He is doing both at the same time. Most plants, you get one or the other. I mean, he has flowers everywhere. Can you see there's buds here? You can see more flowers in here, here, up there. I mean, there are flowers literally everywhere. Here's more buds. I mean, everywhere I look, there's flowers. So, yeah, that one's not really showing up. I was just so amazed that he is actively growing and flowering at the same time. And that just tells me that I am doing something right. So I wanted to share my care tips with you guys so that your plant can thrive just like mine. The biggest thing to think about with plants is, what is their natural habitat? What are those conditions like, and how can I mimic them? Because if you mimic their natural conditions, your plant in general is going to thrive. So this plant in particular is from Southeast Asia. It grows as an epiphyte, meaning it grows on a tree, not with the roots in the soil. So the roots are actually in the bark of the tree. The area it's from is high humidity and it rains frequently. So this plant is used to having a lot of moisture, but without the roots actually being wet. And because of that, it's also under the canopy of the tree, so it gets a lot of dappled light. So it still likes light, but not necessarily full, all-on direct light. So I have this plant in my house on one of my shelvings, and I'll put a picture of it here. That is my favorite spot for it because it's on display so that you can see the purple and the green. But if you notice, it is under a grow light, and that is the only light it gets. It is a pure grow light grown plant. Now, the grow light I use for it is just like one of those cheaper Amazon grow lights. It's not a Barina light because frankly, I mean, you guys let me know how you've done if you've gotten Barina lights, but mine sucks. Like, I only put plants I don't care about underneath it because my plants just really don't like the light it gives. So I don't really get the hype of these Barina lights. But this guy's under a grow light, and I have it going for 12 hours a day from the spring through the fall. Then in the wintertime, I may decrease it like 6 to 8 hours, but sometimes I leave it on the 12 hours. Let's see, what else? Oh, in terms of humidity, so it is from a high humidity environment, but my humidity ranges. It'll be 30% in the winter to 65% in the summer. And I'm not a humidifier person, so that's the humidity it gets. So it is very low humidity tolerant. I water him once a week. When he's flowering, I do water him twice a week. So at this point in time, it's a twice a week schedule. And that prevents the roots from being wet. Because again, remember, he's an epiphyte. He is not used to his roots being wet. Damp, okay, moist, but not wet. So I water him about once a week. And then I fertilize him every other time I water him. So it's not really on a schedule. So now I fertilize him once a week. And then when he's not flowering, it's every other week. And I use a 10-10-10 fertilizer, so it's a little bit more dilute. I am always too afraid that I'm gonna burn my roots. So I just use a dilute fertilizer because I've been burned, no pun intended, too many times in the past. In terms of the blooming, so I mentioned that mine is blooming. There is ways to encourage bloom. So if you've got one of these plants and it's just not blooming for you, these are some things that you can do. You can let it get slightly root bound, because when it can't grow anymore, it tries to propagate, it tries to make babies. It says, okay, now it's time to have a family. So that is one way that you can encourage the blooming. The other thing is switching your fertilizer. So a fertilizer that's higher in phosphorus would be an option for you to see if you could get it to bloom. Let's see, other ways. So I've noticed that my plant blooms a lot more in the winter. And I think it's related to stress. So mild stress can also cause the plant to bloom. Because in the wintertime, what happens is my humidity level goes from 65 to 30. And I think the decrease in humidity causes it a little bit of stress. And so it flowers. And the reason why it flowers with a little bit of stress, and a lot of other plants do this too, is because they're afraid that if they die, that's it. They want to have a lineage living beyond themselves. So they will flower. They will try everything they can do to propagate with stress in case they don't make it. So that is another thing that I found that can cause them to flower. And then there's some people who say when the temperature drops a little bit, it can induce flowering. So there's a few ways in which you can get your Black Pagoda plant to flower. If you want to propagate it, it's also pretty easy. I've never bothered, but you just cut the stems below the node. So where the leaves come out is your node. You just cut below it, and then you can put it in water or back in the soil, and it will propagate. The best time to propagate it is actually right after it finishes blooming, because it usually either blooms or grows. So once it's done blooming, you cut it and it will put all that energy into growth. So that's a way to get it to be much, much fuller than it is. And then the other thing is I have him in a terracotta planter. So that helps kind of wick away any extra moisture. And believe it or not, the soil I have, I'm pretty sure it's actually Miracle-Gro soil, which I never use anymore because I don't like it. But this plant doesn't seem to mind it. And I haven't had fungus gnats. The reason I don't like Miracle-Gro soil is because I always get fungus gnats, and it will grow like mushrooms and mold, and it's just not a good soil in my opinion. I've switched to Fox Farms Ocean Forest, but I'm pretty sure this isn't a Miracle-Gro soil. In general, I think this guy is a showstopper. The way he's got both the purple and the green. I love having this plant pretty much eye level, and you can see on my shelf that it's eye level because it's just so unique with this like purple on one side and green on the other side, and it's all camouflage, and there's a pattern to it, but the pattern isn't exactly the same on every leaf. So it just adds a lot to the visual aspect that's just kind of catching your eye. And it's because of that I like this plant so much. And for me, I do truly find it really easy to take care of, especially compared to other plants. But if you have any other questions or can think of anything that I didn't cover or just any comments in general, let me know down in the comment section. And until next time, happy planting and stay rooted in style.